In this video, we're going to compare the Electro-Voice RE20 to the Shure SM7B. Both of these are legendary dynamic microphones used for broadcast, podcast, streaming, and vocal recording, and we're going to compare them in this video with a whole bunch of tests and then give my opinion at the end as to which one of these microphones is right for you. Now for setup in this video, both microphones are connected to an identical Rode PSA 1 Plus microphone boom arm. Both microphones are connected to XLR cables that are connected to the Rodecaster Duo. Neither microphone has any type of processing on it whatsoever. You're listening to the raw feed from the microphone. You can see up in the top corner there's a logo letting you know what microphone you're listening to at any given time. For the Electro-Voice EV RE20, we have 52 dB of gain, and for the Shure SM7B, we're using 59 dB of gain on the Rodecaster Duo. We always do recommend that you use some type of headphones while listening to a review like this, just so you can hear the nuance of either microphone. Now, the most important thing and biggest consideration when you're buying a microphone is the price. For the most current up-to-date price for your region and for the season and time of year that it is right now, we have links down in the description below where you can find the current online price from a variety of online retailers to make sure that you are getting the best price possible. Next, in terms of overall first impressions and looks, you can get both microphones in black. You can also get the EV RE20 in kind of a gray color, but I prefer the black. They both look great and professional on camera. In terms of passing the test of whether or not your scene or anything like that look professional on camera, I think both microphones do a good job. Next, in terms of overall build quality, let's take a look at the EV RE20 first. It has an all-metal design. You can see that there is a metal grill and venting down the side. This is what they call variable D technology. This venting you never want to block because it is kind of a core component of this microphone. It will prevent the proximity effect, or at least reduce the proximity effect when you get closer or farther away from the microphone, keeping your voice and the overall tone more consistent throughout your recording. Towards the rear of the microphone, there is a switch here where you can turn on a low cut or a high pass filter. This will basically roll off the lower frequencies of the microphone. Then as we move further back, you can see that there is a plastic clamp that goes around the microphone, and then this comes all the way up. You can get an alternate cage for this microphone as well. It's a built-in shock mount. It's bigger and it costs more money if you want as well. I prefer the look of this. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in detail later. Next, for the Shure SM7B, this is another heavy, well-built microphone. It's an all-metal design. Underneath the foam windscreen here, you can see that there is a metal grill here protecting the capsule of the microphone. Towards the back of the microphone, you'll find two switches on the Shure SM7B. One is a low cut or a high pass filter similar to the EV RE20 where it rolls off those lower frequencies, and the other one is a mid boost. We're going to talk a little bit more about this later. Towards the middle of the microphone, you can see that the yoke mounting system connects to the middle of the microphone. This is a metal solid built yoke mount as well. As we move closer to our microphone stand or whatever you're connecting this to, you'll notice that the XLR port for this microphone is up near the microphone mount. This does make it just a little bit more convenient, and it looks a little bit cleaner on camera because you don't have the XLR cable sticking out the back of the microphone. Let's quickly take a look at the specs of these microphones just so you can spot the differences as we start to work towards all the other tests. For the EV RE20, this is an XLR dynamic microphone with a cardioid polar pattern. It's an end address microphone with a frequency response between 45 Hz and 15 kHz. It has a sensitivity of -56 dB and it weighs 737 grams. For the Shure SM7B, it's an XLR dynamic cardioid microphone as well. It also is an end address microphone. It has a frequency response of 50 Hz to 20 kHz. It has a sensitivity of -59 dB. It has a max SPL rating of 180 dB, and it weighs 764 grams. Next, let's take a really quick look at the frequency response of either microphone. Again, this will give us some hints of what to expect with these microphones. For the Electro-Voice RE20 here, there's two graphs on it. One is for the off-axis rejection, so we're going to ignore that for this video. We're just going to look at this top frequency response chart. You can see that there's two lines here. There's one solid and one dotted. Let's start with the solid. This is the microphone in its default position. You can see that there's a bass roll-off here built into the microphone that comes up to about 80 hertz. From there, it's pretty flat until it gets to a 2K, and you can notice that there is a dip around 2K. There's another dip around 4.5 kilohertz. Then there is a bump of the upper air frequencies before a roll-off after 10,000 hertz. Now, if we look at this dotted line at the beginning of the graph, this is what it looks like if you do turn on that bass roll-off switch on the back of the EV RE20. You can see that it basically puts in a high pass filter here all the way up to 400 hertz. So this is a really aggressive bass roll-off. Let's take a look at the Shure SM7B now. For the Shure SM7B, you do see the same bass roll-off. It is just a little bit more pronounced on the Shure SM7B. The EV RE20 brought it up to 0 dB much sooner. And with the Shure SM7B, this low mid cut stays in here just to open up the microphone a little bit more. It does get flat from 1000 hertz all the way to 4000 hertz, where it starts to get sculpted at the end. You'll see a couple bumps and a couple cuts here. It really does cut out the same upper air frequencies that the EV RE20 added before it rolls off at about the same point as the EV RE20. Now, as I mentioned already, both microphones do have switches on them. The Shure SM7B has a bass roll-off and a mid bump, and the EV RE20 just has a bass roll-off. Generally speaking, I don't recommend using any of these switches on the microphone. We're not going to go through them in this video. We do have a link up in the top corner where I go into the ones on the Shure SM7B in depth, but in my mind, the low roll-off of both microphones is just way too aggressive for any podcast or broadcast or streaming or vocal recording, and the mid bump on the Shure SM7B is pretty aggressive. It doesn't really sound great. So if you are going to do these things, I think there's just a million other ways to do audio editing or EQing with more detail and clarity, or to do a change somewhere that you can undo later in the future. Like if you're editing the audio later in your software, I think that's a better place to be making these changes rather than baking it into your recording from a switch on the microphone. All right, now let's do a plosive test on these microphones. In a worst case scenario, I'm just gonna look directly at the microphones. Peter put peanut butter on his pineapple pizza. 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 Now this is what it sounds like if you're doing a background noise test with the EV RE20 using a keyboard and mouse in the background. Now this is what it sounds like if you're doing a background noise test with a keyboard and mouse in the background of the Shure SM7B. Now this is what it sounds like if you have rustling paper, if you're shuffling papers in the background of your EV RE20 while you're recording. Now this is what it sounds like if you're shuffling papers in the background with your Shure SM7B while you're recording. Now we're going to play some white noise so we can check the off-axis rejection of these microphones. This is what the EV RE20 sounds like if you do end up moving this microphone or bumping this microphone throughout your recording. This is what the Shure SM7B sounds like if you end up moving this microphone or bumping it throughout your recording. Now this is what it sounds like if you tap or bump the EV RE20 or the microphone boom arm. Now this is what it sounds like if you tap or bump the Shure SM7B or the microphone or the boom arm. Now this is what the EV RE20 sounds like if you add processing from the Rodecaster Duo. This is the default dynamic microphone processing setting, so it adds some EQ, compression, de-esser, and a couple other things just so you can start to hear the potential of this microphone. This is what the same setting sounds like on the Shure SM7B. So it adds EQ, compression, de-essing, and a couple other little things. It's the default dynamic microphone setting on the Rodecaster Duo. Okay, now we have the processing turned off again, so you're just hearing the raw feed from either microphone. Let's do a blind test here to see which microphone you prefer. No, it's not the computers. The computers were fine, and the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is indeed 42. The problem is that nobody knew what the question was. No, it's not the computers. The computers were fine, and the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is indeed 42. The problem is that nobody knew what the question was. Okay, I just finished editing everything just to make sure that I heard what you heard throughout this recording, and here are my thoughts so far. First of all, in terms of red flags, I don't have any concerns over build quality issues or anything like that. Both of these microphones have and will stand the test of time, so I'm not worried about that. In terms of plosives, both microphones did a good job, but if you do happen to be concerned about plosives in your recording, the Shure SM7B does come with another windscreen that's thicker, so it'll help you in that situation. And for the EV-RE20, there's all types of different third-party products that you can buy. You can get little screens for the front, or you can use a big foam wind cover if you need. Personally, I don't think it's a problem as long as you have good microphone technique. Next, in terms of background noise rejection with the keyboard test and the paper test, I think both of these microphones did super well. I mean, it's the microphone's job to pick up sound in the room, and they do a really good job of picking up the sound in front of them while rejecting the noise that you don't want. This makes them ideal for podcasting, streaming, and vocal recording. I think both of them did a good job here. For taps and bumps, I think they both did pretty good. The EV-RE20, you can get another shock mount if you want. For me, it's just too big and it's too ugly. The thing is huge and it's over $100, so it's not really worth it. But if you do have problems with tapping or anything like that with the RE20, there is a solution for you. The Shure SM7B I think is totally fine. I'm not worried about it at all. Now that we got all the testing out of the way, let's talk about how these microphones actually sound. So these are two legendary microphones, and there's people on either side of the fence here. So at the beginning of this video, when I was listening back, you can hear with the EV-RE20 that it's more susceptible to picking up a little bit of room noise. It sounds a little bit more alive. The recording with the RE20 sounds a little bit more clear, a little bit more natural. I would say it's kind of halfway between the Shure SM7B and a condenser microphone. You get a lot of the benefits of a dynamic microphone, but it still sounds clear, open, and natural. With the Shure SM7B, the sound profile does sound quite a bit tighter. It's darker, it's rounder, it's more smooth. You could also call it muffled, but it definitely gets rid of that background room noise. You don't hear room reflections or wall reflections with the Shure SM7B. That sound is completely killed. So here you have a choice between a more natural sounding microphone as a baseline, and then you can compress it or add an expander or something like that if you want to get rid of some of that room noise. Or the Shure SM7B that sounds, I would say, like more broadcasty, just straight out of the box, if that makes any sense. So what would I recommend here? How would I actually break this down to help you make a decision? If price is an issue for you, and if price is the tiebreaker for you, the Shure SM7B is less expensive by quite a bit. You can get quite a bit more value with the Shure SM7B than the RE20. For my money, if I could only buy one of these and I was spending real money, I mean, I did buy both of these microphones, but if I was just starting out buying one microphone, I would recommend getting the Shure SM7B. It's more value. You can take the extra money that you would save on the difference here and put it elsewhere to get more value in your recording. Next, looks. If looks are really important to you, this is completely subjective again. I think both of these look good on camera, but if you're doing a video podcast or something like that, my personal preference is that the Shure SM7B looks better on camera. So for me, if looks are important to me, I would go with the Shure SM7B. If looks are important to you and you prefer the RE20, a lot of people like that, then the RE20 is for you. Next, in terms of sound profile, you can really make up your mind here. The EV-RE20 is a little bit more natural, a little bit more clear, a little bit more open. If you like that sound profile, then the EV-RE20 is the one for you. If you want something a little more smooth, a little more rounded, a little more dead sounding, tighter sounding, darker sounding, then the Shure SM7B is for you. I think overall, for me, in all three of those categories, price, looks, and sound, I'm now leaning towards the Shure SM7B as being my favorite. I used to always prefer the EV-RE20 over it. I don't know if my ears have changed or the headphones I use have changed or what's going on, but the more recordings that I do, I find that I'm leaning towards picking up the SM7B over the RE20, and that's my personal opinion. Of course, we do have people on both sides, and I've tried to explain the differences and the factors in there so you can make up your mind as to which one of these is for you. This is a really big battle. There's a lot of people on both sides of this argument, and I think both sides do have a lot of compelling reasons. So it's really just going to come down to you and your ears making the decision here on how you want to spend your money. I hope this video has been helpful. If you do want to see more comparisons or more videos on either one of these microphones, please let me know down in the comment section below. Again, if you are looking for current up-to-date pricing on either one of these microphones, we have links down in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.